chapter 14, and he honored God because he removed the idols. And then he started a little building program. And then God gives him about 10 years of rest. He basically, in the little area of Judah, he obeys God. And it begins to get cleaned up, and God sees his heart, and then God brings a test. There's the army, the Cushites. It's northern part of Africa. And they have well over 1 million soldiers. And he's got a decent army, but it's like, this is impossible. And so he goes out to battle, and he literally says, God, you know, no one can stand against you. And you read the prayer. I encourage you to do it. And he basically says, God, if you don't show up, if you don't do it, there is no way. I mean, the odds are insurmountable. And they have this amazing victory that's supernatural by God. And it's so amazing that when he gets done with the victory, a prophet comes. And the prophet says, Asa, the Lord's pleased with you. And this is a great line. I read this afresh this morning. And if you will be with him, he will be with you. Asa, if your life lines up and if you'll be with him and do life his way and align with him, he will be with you. But if you turn away from him, Asa, he'll turn away from you. And Asa got it, and he pulled together all the people. And he said, you know something, historically, we are so far off, and there's this national repentance, and there's this movement of God. And then another prophet comes, and so he gets 15 years of relative peace in a small area, and then he gets another 20 years of massive success, building programs, removal of idols. There's even a little line in there where it talks about he even removes the queen mother, his grandmother. See, when you start getting really serious with God, he does stuff in you and through you. There'll be a few really touchy relationships that you got to step up and be honest and clear and walk with him. And I think that text was saying, Asa from bottom to top was honoring God. And then we pick it up in chapter 16, and it's the 36th year of his reign. So he's had 35 years of success. And there's a great door of opportunity. In verses 1 through 6 of chapter 16, here's the door of opportunity. It looks like a bad situation, but you can follow along. But what happens is that Judah and Israel are at odds, and the king of Israel is really making war on Judah right now. And he's got 36 years, and after time, you get a little bit older. If you're not careful, you get comfortable. And you start relying on you instead of relying on God. And so he sees this problem, and so he hires some mercenaries, the king of Aram. He empties his treasury, and the king goes ahead, does what he said he would do. He attacks Israel. Israel withdraws. Hey, great, things are okay. Now let me read, because I want you to pick up the text in verse 7 of chapter 16 of 2 Chronicles. And he's thinking, I'm a good man, I've been a good king, I got 35 years under my belt. We had a problem. I had the resources, took care of the problem. At that time, Hanani, the seer, or the prophet, came to Asa, the king of Judah, and said to him, because you relied on the king of Aram and not on the Lord your God, the army of the king of Aram has escaped from your hand. See, God's plan, when he brought that difficulty, he wanted to use the biggest new difficulty for a greater and greater opportunity of victory. But he said, you kind of blew it. And then he reminds him, we're not the great number of Cushinites and Libyans, a mighty army with great numbers of chariots and horsemen. Yet, when you relied on the Lord, he delivered them into your hand. And then we get our verse. See, this is an axiomatic characteristic of God. This isn't just an Old Testament passage. He rebukes him and he says, for the eyes of the Lord go to and fro throughout the whole earth. This is a principle. This is how God works. Don't you understand? Asa, if you would have relied on him now like you used to, the hand of God and the support of God and the victory of God. But instead what you did is you grew comfortable and you relied on you and on your resources and you missed. And unfortunately, if you continue to read, Asa's response is a little less than we'd hope, and he gets a little contrary and throws a few people in prison, and it's really a bit of a sad ending. A great door of opportunity, a sad commentary. And here's what I tell you, when you read through this book, or when you read through church history, a lot of people start well in the Christian life. Very